So we just learned from some New York Times reporting that Donald Trump and former Attorney General Jeff Sessions had one priority when it came to immigrant families. And it was this from Jeff Sessions, quote, "Take away the children," close quote. What now? Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So we just got some more blockbuster reporting from the New York Times. This time it has to do with an investigation that has been conducted by Inspector General Michael Horowitz, the Department of Justice Inspector General, who looked into how the Department of Justice handled the Trump administration's immigrant family separation policy, right? And you'll remember, we got all kinds of inconsistent statements from then Attorney General Jeff Sessions and others about, well, whether it is the Trump administration's policy to separate immigrant parents from their children, whether it wasn't the Trump administration's policy. But now it looks like we're getting some real answers from Inspector General Michael Horowitz. The New York Times got a hold of a draft or a preliminary report from Michael Horowitz, and here is some of what we're learning. I want to start with the headline and then read a little bit of the top line reporting from the New York Times article. So the headline is a quote from then Attorney General Jeff Sessions, quote, "We need to take away children, no matter how young," Justice Department officials said. And here is just some of the New York Times reporting. The 5 U.S. attorneys along the border with Mexico, including 3 appointed by President Trump, recoiled in May of 2018 against an order to prosecute all undocumented immigrants, even if it meant separating children from their parents. These 5 U.S. attorneys told top Justice Department officials that they were deeply concerned about the children's welfare. But the Attorney General at the time, Jeff Sessions, made it clear what Mr. Trump wanted on a conference call with these U.S. attorneys later that afternoon. Quote, "We need to take away children," close quote, Sessions told the prosecutors. Rod Rosenstein, then Deputy Attorney General, went even further in a second call about a week later, telling these 5 U.S. attorneys, these 5 prosecutors, that it did not matter how young the children were. Rosenstein said that government lawyers should not refuse to prosecute cases simply because the children were barely more than infants, close quote. Now, what we learn as we continue to read through the New York Times reporting is that Jeff Sessions refused to even be interviewed by Inspector General Horowitz as part of this investigation. What a brave, brave man Jeff Sessions is. You know, some of these children, folks, may be forever lost to their parents, to their families, based on what the federal government did. However, even though Jeff Sessions wouldn't be interviewed, the Department of Justice did issue a statement responding to this New York Times article. And here's what the Department of Justice said. Quote, "The draft report," meaning Inspector General Horowitz's report, "the draft report relied on for this article," the New York Times article, "contains numerous factual errors and inaccuracies." But here's the money line, folks. While DOJ is responsible for the prosecutions of defendants, it had no role in tracking or providing custodial care to the children of those defendants. it had no role in providing care for the children that Jeff Sessions said you will take away from their parents. That Rod Rosenstein said you will prosecute these cases even if the children are infants that are being taken away from their parents. The Department of Justice issues a statement saying, oh, but the Department of Justice has no role in the care or custody of the children they order taken away from their parents. As if it couldn't get any worse, I saved the worst for last. Here is another passage from that New York Times article, and it has to do with what Rod Rosenstein said when he was given the opportunity to provide a statement or be interviewed by Inspector General Horowitz as part of this investigation into his involvement and the Department of Justice's involvement in Trump's immigrant family separation policy. Here's what Rod Rosenstein said. According to the New York Times article, senior Justice Department officials viewed the welfare of the children as the responsibility of other agencies, and their duty, the DOJ's duty, as tracking the parents. Quote from Rod Rosenstein, I just don't see that, the care of the children, as a DOJ equity. His word. Rod Rosenstein doesn't see the care, the custody of the children that he and Jeff Sessions ordered taken away as a DOJ equity. You know, in his view, the Department of Justice doesn't have any equity in what happens to the children, the infants that I'm ordering need to be taken away so we can prosecute their parents. No equity in that. No value in that, right? Equity. You know, immigrants love their children too. Why do you think they come to this country? Why do you think they flee dire circumstances? Often on foot, walking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles with their children to come to the U.S.? You know what? They have equity in their children, in their children's safety, in their children's future, in their children's opportunity. For a government official to say, we have no equity in what happens to the children, that's somebody else's problem. I'm just making sure they get separated. You know, usually, folks, if you watch these daily videos, I often talk about the crimes that have been committed and the need to fully, fairly, honestly, ethically, and apolitically investigate them in the grand jury beginning in January when we have a law-abiding president and a law-enforcing attorney general again. But I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about what the federal government needs to do. We broke something, and we need to fix it. The first we is the Trump administration. Heartless, cruel, careless, lawless Trump administration. They broke immigrant families. And they said, we don't have any equity in what happens to the children. The second we broke it, we need to fix it. The second we is the administration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That will be a law-abiding, caring, compassionate, empathetic administration. And we will need to fix what Donald Trump and company broke. And what Donald Trump and company broke are thousands of immigrant families. What I suggest Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will have to do beginning in January is put together a commission to reunite immigrant families. Right? We broke it. We have to fix it. There has to be a commission to reunite immigrant families. To the extent it can still be done, hopefully some of these children who have been separated have either been reunited with their parents, if the parents were released, deported, or were ultimately given to the care and custody of a loving family member, relative. But I'm not confident much of that happened under the Trump administration, and I am sure there are children who are deeply scarred, probably permanently scarred, and who have not yet been reunited with their families. And we broke it. We need to fix it, and we need to fix it with a commission to reunite immigrant families and do a deep dive investigation. You know, read every document, every email, every text message, every note. Conduct interviews of everybody who has any information about what happened to these children. You know, that's something that I think we all should have equity in. Fixing what we broke. As always, folks, please stay safe, and I look forward to talking with you all tomorrow.